Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Scope. And now, here are your hosts, Jared, Adam, and Shane.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Scope. This is exciting, episode 313, however we want to call it. We're back. I say this pretty much every time after a hiatus. We are back. This time our hiatus was 5 months long. So I think it takes us back to March or April, somewhere in there. It's been a long time. A lot of things have happened. Jared, Adam, thank you for agreed to get back together, reform the band. And
this was our second attempt at it. The night last week when we were supposed to record, my internet decided to go out for the entirety of the evening. Just gone. 5 p.m. until I went to bed around midnight. No internet. So
I got to take credit, blame for that. I had my fantasy draft that night. At first, I thought it'd be fine. I could do both. Ignore you guys mostly for those 2 hours. And then realized it would just be better if I sabotaged Jared's internet.
It's a shame you took two Vikings backup quarterbacks in your draft because they might be out of the league. Look at here,
we got the new one. They traded. Oh, here we go. And this is probably one of your new things you need to talk about.
Yeah, this is Jerome right here. He's one of our new cats. He will be making an appearance throughout the show, I'm sure, for people that are watching on YouTube. It's a new cat world here in the double bitches. I mean, the Shane P house. The last time we did a show, I had a big long soliloquy about Turk the cat. He was our cat that pretty much was around since Audrey started school, and he passed away in a very sad sort of way. It was devastating to the house. It's still really sad, actually. We still really miss him. But with all things, rebirth right here. First black cat I've ever had. So very, very exciting.
Wow. And
guess what, Adam? It's not one, but two cats, because there's another cat running around named Finn, named after, Stranger Things. That's all Audrey's doing. Because we lost our second cat shortly after Turk. Our really old cat passed away. Got kind of went downhill. Good chance it was probably because Turk was gone and a lot of things were happening around the house. And so it was a really sad few months for us. And it's really nice to have cat energy in the house. So that's good. So we've been gone for 5 months. I asked Jared and Adam, and I did this as well. Make a list of all the crap you've done over the past 5 months, and we'll pick one thing from each of our lists to discuss. We'll do it quick. Adam, I'm always excited what you're up to because I read about you in the trades. The rumor mills the rumors are always flying with Adam. So I can't wait to hear what he's done and pick something exciting to talk about. So
I did tell I
just read he's about to star in a new Wonder Man series along with Sir Ben Kingsley coming back as Trevor Slattery. Is it true you're playing Wonder Man?
I know zero of the words that you just said. So I feel very out of touch. I did explain to my nearly 4-year-old that I am doing a podcast, which I then tried to explain to him what it means. And then Mandy said, Dad's kind of famous. And then he kind of looked at me in awe. He believed it. So that was, exciting.
That is exciting, and you are sort of famous.
That was a slow response to me being in the trades.
Gotcha.
Was Shane's. Yes,
you brought it around. Yeah, you brought it around. The northern Twin Cities metro area trades, dealing with all the famous ins and outs and hootenannies that go on. So, Adam,
bring me the news.com.
Bring me the news.com. Adam, what have you done in the last 5 months? Give us a bullet pointed list.
Okay, you want a list, and then we're going to talk about one, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, you do a list.
You'll give us a list, and we'll decide which one we want to hear about.
I mean, there's one that's really good, give us some sort of verbal or nonverbal cue. But Jared and I are pretty good judge of characters.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's see. I went to a musical concert with music. That was for Interpol. I went to see a live podcast with my mom. That was The Dollop.
Is that a cooking show?
The Dollop? It's a podcast where two guys talk about stuff, usually something in history, and one of them tells the historical facts, the other one, tells jokes.
See, when I hear dollop, my brain immediately goes to Dollop of Daisy.
I understand.
So I thought cooking.
Yeah. It's like a big-ish podcast. It was sold out the Fitzgerald Theater. So
wow.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of it. So
that's crazy. I went to a live comedy show.
Do you think we could sell at the Fitzgerald if we booked it?
Yeah. I mean, if we booked it as like not the Scope, if we booked it as
like
something else.
If we should pretended we were a famous band.
Yeah. Let's book it
as the Strokes.
Yeah. I was going to say the Doughboys. That'd work too. There's a lot of options out there. I went to a live comedy show to see Comedy Bang Bang.
Okay.
I then, that was a few days before my birthday. And then on my birthday, I got COVID. So I probably got COVID at that show. So that was my exciting COVID adventure. I saw some movies.
In theaters.
I got a Steamed Deck.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that.
That was pretty much, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so
next month we go on a week-long vacation to the beach with my family.
Nice. And then you'll get COVID again, so that'll be fun.
No, we just had it. I had it 3 weeks ago, so I'm probably okay for a few months.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So Jared, we've heard Adam's
there's a lot of COVID going around right now.
We've heard Adam's list.
Yeah.
What intrigues you the most? What jumps out to you?
What intrigues me the most? So a bunch of live shows, some movies in theaters, and that's it.
Show with his mom. We always love Adam's mom stories because they're always good.
Let's go with that. That would be my favorite.
Okay. So Adam, you saw a podcast with your mom. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I don't know if they were recording it, but The Dollop is a podcast. Here, I will give you. Here's an example of The Dollop. Okay. They had a 4-part series on Steven Seagal, where they did a deep dive about Steven Seagal and all the craziness that is him. So that's kind of one end of the spectrum of shows they do. The show in St. Paul that they did was about the World War I era union busting in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And do
they tend to bring a local flavor to their live shows?
I don't know. I've never listened to their live shows before, but that's the impression I got.
Okay.
So they spent 2 hours telling about how the mayor of Minneapolis at the time was a real son of a bitch, along with the city council. And
some things never change.
And they didn't like unions, and they spent So it was an interesting bit of information.
They got a 4-part series on Aaron Burr. Holy cow!
Yeah. These guys. I will say it's worth a listen. The only reason I did this was because 2 weeks prior to that, my mom was supposed to come to town. No, maybe 4 weeks prior. And Will got COVID. Neither Mandy or I did. But Will did. Yeah, it was weird.
Through daycare
probably.
or preschool or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom.
So you isolated him for 10 days. He didn't see anyone. You slid like fruit snacks under the door, and that was it.
Yep. Exactly. It was a rough time for him, but great for Mandy and I. We had more freedom than we've had in years. So anyway, my mom came, and I was like, "Oh, I should do something." Especially since you had to change your plans and everything. So that was like literally the only thing in town that week.
Wow.
So I think Bill Maher was also at one of the casinos, but I can't stand the guy. So we went to that. I was like, I don't know what she's going to think about this. The two guys, one of them has a near unbearable laugh. So, I mean, I would give the show a chance. And then if what happens to me happens to you, and you instantly get annoyed. Turn it off. It's fine. There's a lot of podcasts out there.
He's just laughing at all the money he made at Top Gun Maverick. He loves it.
One of the movies I saw in the theater. So anyway, I turned to my mom at some point, and she's just laughing, and she's having a great time. Yeah, she loved it. Yeah, so
that's great.
Yeah.
And your mom didn't catch COVID at any point during any of this traveling or anything like that?
No. According to my mom, she's never had COVID. Now, a few weeks ago, she was just as sick as she's ever been. Just incredibly sick. Bad fever. Just didn't know what was going on. I said, "Did you get any COVID tests?" She said, "I did one at home at some point during that, and it came out back negative." And I was like, "Well, it's probably COVID." But
Dr. Adam in the house.
I mean, odds are, given her symptoms,
it's a good chance. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she didn't die. So that's good news for my mom. Maybe we can go see another podcast the next time she's in town.
Fantastic.
Nice.
So, Jared,
regular date with your mom.
Yeah, we love it. I'm glad she got to come into town, see the family, get some culture, and escape relatively unscathed. Jared, do you want me to list my my comings and goings over the last 5 months, or do you want to take the next round?
I think I have a shorter list than you, so why don't I go next?
Okay.
All right. So,
give us your
like
list.
Adam, I made it to a couple of live shows. I did the Letterkenny Live tour, which was a lot of fun. It was first time they were here, they were at the Pantages Theater. This time they were at the State Theater. No, sorry, they were at the Orpheum. That was a much bigger upgrade, and they brought much more of the cast with them, so that was a lot of fun. I went to see Weird Al Yankovic live at the State Theater, so hitting that Hennepin Theater Trust on the regular. Did a, I guess, quote unquote remodel of the second bedroom in the house. We didn't do any structural changes, but finally got around to painting it, building out workspaces, shelving, stuff like that. It's still in progress, but the bulk of the work is done on that. And then probably the biggest event of the summer is our after a 3-year absence, we finally made it back to Convergence in downtown Minneapolis, the big science fiction, fantasy, speculative fiction fan-run convention in the Twin Cities here. That it's been a mainstay of the scope over the years. It's been a number of years since we've been, for obvious reasons. So we finally made it back.
Well, Adam,
so that's kind of my summer.
That's a good list, Adam. I mean, my laser beam focus goes right at Convergence. Number one, I really haven't talked to Jared too much about it, so that's sort of exciting. And the fact that we are talking a massive convention with a lot of people. There's a lot of danger involved with airborne illness. There's a lot of nerdy topics.
Not to mention
that
all
need to be
the
covered.
ninjas that invaded on Saturday. We had to fight them off.
Are you cool with the con, Adam?
I mean, I can't not want to hear about it, but man, that second bedroom remodel
kind of hits different once you get in your 40s, doesn't it?
Sounded really interesting. What HGTV program were you using as an inspiration? But yeah, Convergence. Let's sure.
All right. We can talk about the remodel some other time. But so Convergence is back. This is the, I guess, technically third year in the new hotel. This is the Hyatt Regency downtown, right on in Minneapolis on Nicollet Mall. It's a very different hotel. If you're at all familiar with how Convergence had been set up in the past, at the Sheraton, DoubleTree, Radisson, the former convention hotel, it in many ways was the ideal convention spot. There was a lot of function space, but it all sort of centered upon this pool area and function space with 2 floors of cabanas and other function space around it. This was the central hub of the convention in years past, and it was always the place where you could just hang out and sort of take in the vibe. This hotel doesn't really have that. I mean, they've got kind of a big seating area by a fireplace that you can congregate. There's the big main stage, and there's some space there. But for the most part, it's more spread out, which has its pros and cons. I think some of the function spaces are a lot better for things like Cinema Rex is their movie room. The space they have at the new hotel, it's just bigger. It's symmetrical. It's just a much better space overall. You can get to all the floors by escalators. So in a lot of ways, it's really a great, much better space. But there are some downsides too, like Consuite. The Consuite experience at the old hotel was just like an entire wing of the building where you'd had multiple rooms with food options. You had places to hang out, play games, and you could just basically hang out there, look out over into the pool area and see what people were getting up to. You could see all the way around. You could see all the hotel rooms, the parties going on. It was just really a huge scene. And that whole Consuite thing is just not there anymore, unfortunately. So it is what it is. And I think that the convention through both the move to the hotel and through the pandemic has seen a drop off in attendance. Last year specifically, it was capped at 2,500. We didn't go. I sold my tickets. This year, I had gotten a hotel room with the intention of doing the whole thing again. And then sort of a week or two out, we kind of decided like, well, maybe we don't need the hotel room. We'll just day trip it. And so I canceled my hotel reservation. I could tell it was going to be a little lighter attended because number one, you could still get hotel rooms a week in advance in the convention hotel, which is very rare for that convention. And two, they were offering a coupon code for $10 off a pre-registration, which they've never done before. In the end, it wasn't too bad. I think it was about 4,800 people attending, which is down from the 6,000 plus that it used to be at its peak, but is certainly not a small number of people. But they had a vaccine and mask mandate. So I think for the most part, we felt pretty comfortable, pretty safe. It didn't feel overcrowded. We went to a number of large main stage events and were able to sort of sit where we wanted. Didn't have to wait in any long lines. There were some reports after the fact of people self-reporting being positive for COVID. And they did a pretty good job of contact tracing. So we get emails for about a week afterwards. You'd get a nightly email of the people who had self-reported, where they said they were and when, and you could sort of cross-reference that where you thought you were to think, oh, was I exposed? Was I not? There were a couple events that we had been at that other people who had tested positive were at. My suspicion is these people were positive going into the convention and either didn't register on a test or didn't test or whatever, because they were like immediately positive, like at the con and post. It's like, well, it doesn't manifest that quickly, but still. Neither one of us, as far as I can tell, got it, didn't feel any symptoms or anything like that. So made it through unscathed. And for the most part, it was an entertaining convention. There was a lot of events we went to that, like, we tended to go to more of the improv comedy performance type events, less of the genre discussion panels and stuff like that. But yeah, we managed to find things to do over the course of 4 days.
So when I used to go, you had that programming aspect, and you had the other half, which is the party aspect. How much has that changed? Do you think that it will be changed forever, given the fact that it's downtown, and we're dealing with a pandemic and that's sort of ongoing, and you also have a different group of people in a lot of ways that are going to the convention, right? People are aging out, new people are coming in. How do you see those two sides of the convention working going forward?
So I think from the party aspect, there's the personal perspective on it, and then there's the actual, like, kind of more overall situation at play. I'll talk to the latter first, which is the hotel is just set up completely differently. So they've got party rooms sort of spread out. It's hard to explain without diagramming it, but essentially there's 3 floors, and they're kind of on the far side of the hotel. So you end up having to go up to like the 3rd, 4th, or 5th floor, and then walking through a bunch of hallways to get to the back wing where the rooms are. Once you get there, it's a similar thing where they've got, kind of their suite room where they've done the decorations, and they've usually got a greeter at the door. They've done a good thing this year or in the last couple of years, I should say, where they've got kind of signs like posted on the doors that tell you like what, if it's alcoholic or not, what the hours are, what sort of like food they're serving, like just a lot of information about what's in the party. So you can kind of prejudge if you want to go in or not. But it definitely isn't central to the vibe of the convention like it used to be. And I think that's, it's hard for me to quantify if that has an impact on whether or not people are going to them because going back to the personal side of it is we just aren't as interested in it anymore. And part of that just could be where it's just out of the way, and it's definitely a destination. It's not just incidental to where you are. Part of it is we're older and aren't as interested in being in a loud party room at 2 a.m. and drinking mystery shots. And part of it is, it's hard to eat and drink when we're still in a pandemic. And so some of these things maybe we'll get back to over the years if we, feel like we're safe enough to do so. But I think to some extent, I think we've sort of just passed that prime party age. And consequently, was it Thursday or Friday? It might've been Friday. It doesn't really matter. We did a tour of all the floors and kind of just checked out a couple of parties one night for maybe 30, 40 minutes. And that was it. We never went back for the rest of the convention. We never went back to the party rooms. So sounded like there were, it's very different from how it used to be. I mean, you can go back. We did a series of vlogs on the Scope YouTube channel from 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. I don't even remember, where we kind of chronicled every night of a convergence. And that's very indicative of kind of how our con participation was at that time, how that hotel really vibed. And it's just a very different thing, very different people, and the convention's different. And, I don't know if they'll ever get back to that peak in attendance. I don't know that they necessarily want to. I think they have to hit a certain number of people to make the numbers financially work. So, they're always trying to get enough people to show up because it is a fan run convention. But
do you see younger people coming in as older folks are like, we don't need this crap anymore? Or is that kind of a hard thing to tell?
It's hard to tell, but anecdotally, I would say that there's still younger people floating in. You get the anime crowd that always seems to be coming in at the low end. And then there's always the older people who will age out, and maybe they just do a MarsCon, or maybe they just kind of drop out of the scene altogether. And there's plenty of other smaller, more focused science fiction conventions in the area throughout the year that people tend to go to. If you're into Doctor Who, there's very specific Doctor Who cons. There's horror cons. There's, Convergence is very much more of a pan media convention. But if you're looking for a very specific coverage, you can find those events.
Good on you, Jared, for not staring at the young people. I think that's what Shane was getting at.
That's always where my brain
and there's
is
not
going.
necessarily that opportunity anymore because, like it just physically, Convergence at the old hotel was everyone was mingling together for hours on Friday, Saturday night, and it was just a very different thing. So these days, if you want to go ogle some young person in a costume, you have to go specifically find out where they're going to be.
You have to put in the effort. No.
You got to put in the effort. Yeah. You got to, if you want to time out the exit from the masquerade, then you got to be down there and waiting for it.
Yeah, it's a different world, isn't it? It'll definitely be an intriguing thing to see where it goes. And, it's interesting to see you sort of shift over to the content portion heavier than the party portion. And, like you said, that could be due to a number of different reasons.
Yeah. And I have the means to kind of experience a convention in a different way. So,
yeah, and that's how you should. If you enjoy it, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So my turn. I've got a list I'm going to go through. You guys pay attention and then let me know what you think. We will start with my officer model. You can see behind me that I am in a totally different room. We've got all sorts of stuff, toys in the background, bright lights. I'm not bathed in those tubal fluorescent lights anymore. I'm so happy about that. COVID during the officer model. Second dead cat. I have a kidney stone attack at an airport.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Audrey goes to prom. My mom has massive health issues. 2 new cats. Audrey gets her license. College tours. I'm a tennis dad, and my high school reunion my last high school reunion just happened a weekend ago. I'm going to say I'm putting that on the list, but I've got a specific story about it for the next show, so you probably don't want to hear about that. But there's a lot of other gems on that list. What say you, boys?
So I feel like Jared knows all of these.
I've heard bits of all of them. Obviously, I've seen the remodel in action over the weeks it took. So I'm very pretty intimately involved in that. But I know that you were jonesing to talk about my remodel, so maybe you want to hear about Shane's remodel. Shane,
the kidney stone story is also very good.
Let's not talk about your parental illnesses.
Yeah,
that sounds not fun.
No, it's not fun. I will just say that right now everything's okay, but there were some crazy things that happened. But yeah, so
you're really clickbaiting it right now, Shane.
I am. Yep. You know, if we were doing like a YouTube thumbnail, I would just be like holding a hammer and. So, what do you think?
What do you want to talk about? What do you think is the juicy?
I sort of want to tell Adam the kidney stone story because it's a good one. It's my best kidney. It's my best kidney stone story yet.
I remember these from the old place where we worked together. Yeah. You would always tell me how you couldn't have soda because you would get kidney stones, and I'd laugh at you for being an old person.
Yeah.
So
and now
let's hear the latest.
So so I think the kidney stone was late March, early April, and I started having weird symptoms of kidney stones, which I've said this before in other shows. You know, I'll be sitting around and I'll get like a weird pain in my leg or just sort of an antsiness, and I'm always chalking it up to other stuff, right? It's like, oh, I just must have slept wrong or whatever. This time around, I was a little bit more cognizant because we were preparing to go on our first flight vacation since the pandemic started. We were going with a group of people down to the Alabama shores. So this would be like southeast Alabama, up near close, kind of by the panhandle of Florida. It's a real touristy.
We all know where Gulf Shores is.
Sure. I don't know. I didn't know where Gulf Shores was. But so the kidney stone was definitely on my mind as I started to feel some of these symptoms. And about 2 weeks before, I pass a kidney stone. Just go to the bathroom, out it comes, real small, like I would say, you know, a large grain of sand. So not necessarily very big.
Shane,
passed it.
How do you know? How do you know what size it was? Do you see it?
Because I strain it. Like when I know. So when you know you have kidney stones, you need to strain your urine.
Is this like a medical strainer, or is this just like a colander right out of the kitchen?
It's what we actually use for our spaghetti.
I was going to say. Is this where the manicotti is going?
I fire it up with the little 409 after I'm done, and we just throw it right back into the drawer. No, I strain it with a medical grade strainer, which is made specifically for this stuff. Past the kidney stone, guess what? I still felt like shit afterwards. So I'm like, oh no, there's more coming. So
that was the baby.
About a week later, so we're probably 4 days out of getting on the plane. I pass another kidney stone. Again, about the same size, sort of small. It's probably not something that you normally would feel. I would guess the average person would not feel. It's going to be tight, y'all. But then everything sort of settles down. A little bit of my kidney stone feelings settle down. That's great. So that 4 days pass, and we get a ride to the airport from a friend. And this is the absolute truth, you know, hand to God, if you're into that sort of thing. I step out of the car, go to the back, pop open the trunk, pull out our bags from our friend's car, and immediately I start feeling intense kidney stone pain. Like, this is not going to be good. Like, there's a certain dullness in your lower back when things are happening that if you've had them, you know exactly what it is. It is varying levels of intensity, depending on kidney stone and how it's moving, but it is very, very distinct. And every step I'm taking into the airport, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And like, Carrie can see it. She's looking at me. She's like, "Are you okay?" And, and I say to her, I think we've got another stone coming. And so now there's a low level panic that sets in because our plane leaves in 2 hours, and the flight we're flying to New Orleans. The flight is about 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And then to get to the Alabama shores, it's another 2.5 hour drive. So, and you're driving through mostly small towns, and there's just not a lot of hospital action.
They don't take kindly to this whole complaining about your urinary tract.
Yeah, just rub some dirt in it.
It's not looked upon kindly down there. So we get our tickets, get all that situated at the kiosk, and then we go into the security line.
And it shows up on your complete body scan.
And they're like, "Sir, you've got a boulder in your penis, and we got to take care of this." No, like it was so bad. The pain started to get so bad that I could not stand up. That's how, like, I'm doubled over in pain, and I'm starting to do the calculus in my head. What's going to happen here? And, I suffer through the line, good 15, 20 minutes. And then as I'm in the line and getting by the guy that's checking my ID, I screw up half the stuff that they're asking me to do. Like, oh, you got to take off your belt. You got to take out your wallet, all that stuff. Like, I was so out of it that I wasn't even thinking. And I had to go back through the
pants around the ankles, boxers out.
I literally want to strip down to nothing. And they actually called me back 3 times, 3 times to get through the line because I didn't do something right. I didn't take out the right thing in my bag. It was just a freaking mess. So make it through. Now you're sort of in the airport part, and we're walking down this long, concourse. Of course, our flight is at the very end of one of the longer concourses. And everybody, we got a whole group of people, probably about 15 people. And I just say to everyone, like, listen, I'm in a lot of pain. I need to go sit down by the gate and leave me alone because I don't want to talk to anybody. You guys go get food and we'll see what happens. So I'm sitting now in this giant, super full area, just surrounded by people, and I'm rocking around. I'm in pain. I'm turning green. Like, I was in such pain, Adam. I couldn't tell you. And then they make the announcement to start boarding. And at that point, I'm sort of texting Carrie, and I said, I have to make a decision whether I'm going to go on this flight or not. And the last second, I'm just like, I can't do this. I cannot be on the plane and be in the state. They could have to land the plane for me. And I won't do this. I won't do this to people. So I just texted her and I said, I have to get home. Let's call the person that just gave us a ride to the airport, see if she can come back. She wasn't there. She did not answer the phone. So we called another friend who was also going on this trip, but they weren't going for 2 days later. That's the happy ending part of the story that we'll get to. And we get Megan on the phone, and she's, yep, I'll come and pick you up. So I'm waving goodbye to people, limping down the concourse. People are wondering, should I get a buggy ride down to the end? And I'm just like, nope, I'm just going to walk it. It feels better to walk. Got me to the area where my friends couldn't go any further. They turned around, went back, and then I just sort of wandered in the baggage claim until Megan came and got me. And it was very, very painful. But in the meanwhile, Carrie is bawling. My daughter is like, I hope Dad's okay. But Carrie was really, really freaked out and very upset. And I was just like, there's no way you guys should stay here with me. You've got to go. It would just be such a pain in the ass to try to schedule this with 3 people and trying to figure out if I'm gonna join you later. So get a ride to the hospital, where in the meantime I've called my parents are not. Jared, I don't know if you were around. I don't remember. I could have given you a call, but
I don't think I was around. I don't know. I don't remember.
I feel like I would have given you a call if you would have been around. But what I always do is I call Carrie's parents. My parents were in Arizona. They were not back yet. So there was really hardly anyone around to actually take care of me. So Carrie's parents meet me there. So I'm at the local hospital. They bring me in. They give me, for whatever reason, they give me very low level pain medication. Usually with kidney stones, they're very quick to drop you like the morphine or something like that. I don't know if there's like addiction issues now and they wait to see. Like maybe I'm trying to screw them over. I don't know. But they gave me something that barely took the edge off. And then they took me back for a scan. And guess what, Adam? There's a kidney stone. Big surprise.
Surprise.
A giant one. It was about 5 millimeters, which is for a kidney stone to pass on your own. That is about as big as it can get. Anything bigger than that, they probably will go in and get it. So I was very borderline. The good news is the kidney stone was almost in my bladder. So they said usually when you have the pain like that, it means that the kidney stone is making a big move, and that's good. But I still
money moves.
I was still in a lot of pain, so I'm chugging water. They get me back, so now I've probably been in the hospital room, the ER, for about an hour. Carrie's mom is sitting next to me, just trying to be as nice as she can. And I just looked at her and I said, I got to get more pain meds because I'm dying here. So the nurse comes in and we tell her this. And just about as she's about ready to call the doctor to get that pain meds, I literally feel like a giant snap in my gut. That's the only way I can explain it, like a big pop. And then all the pain went away. And that was it. The pain went away. So doctor came in. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I feel fine right now. Oh, and so they're like, well, it's probably in your bladder. And that means you could very well pass it, but we don't know for sure.
You're
Smell
like,
you
I'm
later.
sorry, Doc. I'm on a time to party, and you pop the top of a sixer of White Claws just right there in doctor's face. You're like, I'm out of here.
So I think this was on a Saturday. I think this was on a Saturday. And the big decision, Adam, was, do I go on this flight? Do I try to reschedule? We had a group of friends that were going 2 days later, and they rented a car. They could fit me in the car. That was the big issue. Like, if I went any other day, everyone would have to drive back from Alabama to New Orleans, which is like, 6 hours of driving, which just seemed insane to me. And I had to make a game day decision. And I'm just like, I'm chugging water. I don't feel the pain. We're going to go for it. And we had to use a little bit of magic because the airline did not want to give us. They're like, yeah, we'll reschedule for you. And the cost of the rescheduling will be the cost of what the ticket originally cost, which was expensive. And a friend of ours who is like a platinum member of Delta, she then got on the phone and actually got them to reschedule for free. Jeez. So that was great. We got a free rescheduling. I went on the flight. We had a great calm flight. We had a great drive the entire vacation. I chugged a lot of water, didn't really feel any kidney stones, made it back. It was great. And then probably, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks after we got back, I eventually passed, like out of the blue, I passed the stone, and it was a monster. It was actually bigger than 5 millimeters. Passed on its own. It popped out. And so far, so good after that, Adam. But boy, that was quite that was a rough day, because that also was the day that we were scheduled to euthanize our second cat, because she was so old and sick where she literally she would fall down the stairs. So it was a big day of highs and lows. It was a very sad day, but I was very happy that I didn't have a stone in me while I was, taking the life of my favorite cat ever. So,
yeah. You jinxed yourself by starting the summer and announcing to everyone how it was the summer of Shane. So, this is all your fault.
Yeah, it totally was my fault. But I'm kidney stone free. I think there could be one more kidney stone in a kidney when they did the scan. So it's a smaller one. That's good. Went and had like a medical thing where they gave me some ideas in terms of what I could do for diet, that sort of thing. So hopefully I'm doing the right things. And
you said, no, I love eating kidney stones, so I'm not going to stop.
That is what I do.
Consume them.
I find kidney stones and I eat them, and then I just let them go through my system and get lodged up there.
When you pee it out, it doesn't hurt then? It's really just the passing through other organs in your body?
So that's a great question.
Thank you.
For once you've done it. Yeah, the
master interviewer over here.
the experience of peeing out a kidney stone, it's like there's a pressure and a pop. That's the only way I can explain it. There's like a little pop inside of you, sort of up in your, penile area. And this one was the biggest one I've ever passed, like without going and getting it. And it really wasn't.
You're getting better at making them, which is
yes, that's the thing. And it's not particularly painful, but there is a discomfort and there's a feeling like you've never had before. Like stuff coming out of there should not be solid. I think that's the life lesson, and you can definitely tell that it's coming.
Hey, don't judge.
It might be just a tiny second of pain, but really the big pain is getting to the bladder. Once it gets to the bladder, it's you're probably in pretty good shape. You have like a 95% chance of passing it.
Is there an equal level of relief after it's gone, or is it just like
when I pissed it out? I actually did like a fist pump like this. You could see it. I went, yes, just like that. And it feels just when you get that out of your system, you feel like a whole new person because you don't.
The guy at the urinal next to you was like, oh, this guy.
Yeah. Well, luckily that was in my house. It was not in a urinal because that would have been weird. But yes, I'm not normally cheering in urinals like I did it. All the urine's gone. Fist pump.
Listen to me with no context. I'm a winner.
So that was the case of the 10th kidney stone I've had.
I don't want to draw this out longer because we've gone real long already, but I do have a quick procedural question. You've gone through TSA. You've checked into your flight. How do you unwind that to run away to go deal with it?
What do you mean?
Like how do you just leave the airport? How do you undo having gone through TSA and checking into your flight? Like, how do you clean that up after the fact?
I don't know how it was cleaned up, but I can tell you that
you just left.
I texted Carrie. I said, you got to get down here. I'm leaving. And then one of our friends walked me, and I just walked like I was walking out of the airport. So did
you have any checked bags?
Yes, I did have checked bags. So that bag
fly without you?
That bag flew without me, and the crew took that bag.
Yeah, I don't think they like it when someone puts a
a
bag on a plane and then doesn't show up on the plane.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that. I don't even know if
you're saying they
would know. They would know that I didn't check in because they'll be like, "Oh, we're waiting for one more passenger," right? So So I'm assuming
someone in your party
told them, he's off to the emergency room. Wheels up, let's go. Party for us.
It sounds like you've given the Terrys a good idea of how to exploit the system.
3D printed, baby. So kidney stone free for weeks of 3. I don't know, some sort of rhyme there, but I'm feeling a lot better.
Kidney stone free in 2023.
Yeah, that is the feeling. So we've told our stories. What comes next, everybody? Nerd Roundtable. We haven't done that in forever. We've got coming soon.
We have to talk more.
We've got to talk more. This is crazy. This is like almost an hour. It's insane. But let's take a quick break. We'll do a 5-minute segment, and then we'll cancel the rest of the show. Jared, be back in a second.
Hey, folks! That time of the show where I tell you. Support us on Patreon. There's a couple people who do it, and there could be a couple more if you just get off your lazy butt and click a few buttons. You want this show to come at you on a more regular basis? I mean, you could hope for that if you support us on Patreon, but odds are Shane's going to get more kidney stones. Adam's going to go gallivanting around town with his mom seeing podcasts, and I'm probably just going to sit at home remodeling my office again. But if we do manage to do shows, you can help support those things at patreon.com/thescopeshow. It costs, $1 a month. There's higher tiers, but, we're happy to get the $1 a month. Honestly, do it. Head on over there. There's some perks. There's some stuff that might happen. I don't know. You've heard this before when you haven't taken action. I'm not sure what I can say to convince you to do otherwise. But
what a salesman.
I gotta try, right? Patreon.com/thescopeshow for more information.
everybody, we're back. Episode 313 of The Scope. And guess what? The longest running Scope segment in the history of our show is back. It's the Nerd Roundtable.
Is it really the longest running?
I think this goes back to the very early days of The Scope. This is the bit where Jared, Adam, and I discuss relevant and exciting pop culture issues with laser-like focused, and the quickest of wit. Wit, right. I say. Let's dive right in, shall we? Purely off the cuff, that entire line. I've got 3 topics, and I'm excited to bounce it off these boys. We'll start with topic number 1. Jared, Adam, which medieval fantasy show are you most looking forward to watching? HBO Max's House of the Dragon. There's a few episodes released already. Or Amazon Prime's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I think that's the Lord of the Rings story that takes place thousands of years or 1,000 years before the movies. These did not include the opinion and input of Mr. Peter Jackson. And boy, Jared, your fingers look really bizarre in a pixelated sort of way. I don't even know what to make of that.
Do a little finger wave. You'll see it clearly on YouTube. I don't know I don't know where that came from.
Adam, I'm starting with you because you are known as the biggest medieval fantasy guy out there. Please tell me which one intrigues you most.
I mean, you're right, because I have all that fan fiction about the Matrix, the Matrix 2 in universe, which is the fantasy Matrix. I don't know if you guys know the lore of the Matrix, but there have been 6 Matrices, and the second Matrix was the fantasy one.
I don't know.
How does the Merovingian factor into this?
He was the Oracle of the second one, of that one.
Sure.
Oracle? I think he was the Oracle. Architect?
Yeah, sure.
I don't give a fuck about either one of these shows. I'm not going to watch either of them. I don't care.
Did you watch the original Game of Thrones?
Yes, I watched Game of Thrones.
Are you so turned off by how it ended, you're just like not even going to bother anymore?
I thought everything was fine. I thought the last 10 minutes of the finale was bad because, Bran and completely...
Spoilers from like 3-4 years ago.
Right. Just not, the way they did that wasn't great.
You know what he's saying, everyone. Yeah, don't make him have to repeat it.
Honestly, it's not just the brand stuff. It's everyone's ending felt just not good.
It was a rough final season.
Yeah.
With some highlights, but
I am not a hater. But you know what? I don't care about prequels anymore. I don't. I would say the worst thing about the last season of Game of Thrones is how they destroyed what's her face, Dragon Lady. Like her character became, completely
unhinged,
but like unempathetic.
Likable.
Like
yeah.
And we liked her for so long, and then they screwed it up.
I think they could have gotten there if they had taken more time to actually.
Yes, it was unearned,
but they didn't.
It was an unearned change. So I don't care about her family. It is not interesting to me. So no, I have no interest in watching that show. And I think Lord of the Rings is boring. I thought that about the original trilogy. I thought that about the Hobbits. I don't care. I think it's funny that Amazon trucks now are painted up to advertise this. I think it's funny that it cost $1 billion, and it's maybe Bezos's own passion project. So I don't really ever hope things don't work out, but I kind of hope this doesn't work out just because that's kind of funny. From a Bezos standpoint, not the thousands of people probably working on the show. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's all I've got for it. Maybe maybe they'll be amazing, and I'll start watching in season 2. But that is not my plan.
Jared, I'm going to piggyback off of what Adam said, just because I feel like you've got a better take than me, and we'll wrap up the question with you. I feel pretty similar to Adam in a lot of ways. Prequels don't really do it for me. It's Better Call Saul is probably the best prequel there ever has been, and even that sort of took its time to blend its way into the Breaking Bad universe. I'm with you, Jared, in the sense that Game of Thrones could have gotten where they needed to go if they just would have given themselves another season or two, which to this day I don't
even a full 10 episodes.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't know why they rushed it. I don't poo-poo that last season.
It was all money is why they rushed it. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it probably was as good as it could have been given the story that needed to be told and the time that they had to tell it, but it still was like disappointing. And in terms of Lord of the Rings, I never saw the last two Hobbit films. I was so turned off by the first one, I never watched the other two. I like the original three movies, and I think that might be enough to get me to watch Amazon's show. But I guess if I had to pick one, House of Dragon probably excites me a little bit more, just because it's more current in the sense that I remember what happened in Game of Thrones, and I can connect the dots between the original show and the old show. And there's other spinoffs coming that might be of interest that might tie into that as well. But I'm not super jazzed for either one. Jared.
I'll keep this brief. I'm looking forward to Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power more than I am Game of Thrones' prequel. Although I am kind of enjoying the House of the Dragon so far. I thought it was a weird choice that they just went right back to the Game of Thrones theme music in episode 2. Like, maybe write a new theme, but whatever. I don't know. I just found out some interesting information today, which is going to be a bit spoilery, but I don't think you guys care because I haven't been paying attention to the production of the show at all. At some point, season 1, sorry, if you don't want to listen to this, skip ahead like 10 seconds. There will be a time jump, and some of the younger characters will be recast with older actors. So that'll be fun.
I didn't hear a word you said, so that's good.
Okay. You can hear it when you re-listen to the show, which you always do. 100%.
I always do. I make notes and I figure out what we do wrong and what we do right. And a lot of reading for Adam's part. I
am enjoying the House of the Dragon so far, and it's renewed for season 2, so I'm sure I'll continue to watch it. But I am looking forward to the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power more, and I think that's got a multi-season guarantee already. So
yeah,
that's
strap in.
Yeah.
Question 2. As I read this, the world of streaming television is in crazy go nuts territory. HBO Max is cutting shows and budgets amid its Warner Brothers Discovery merger. Netflix is the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 this year, and they still haven't greenlit a second season of Sandman. Mm-hmm. And Peacock is looking to get more money by charging a monthly fee for people that used to get it free by subscribing to Comcast. But here's my question. Given all this nonsense, what's the best streaming service right now if you could only have one? Adam.
Here's what I'm going to say. What's the best streaming service that doesn't actually exist? Paramount Plus. Because no one has Paramount Plus. But they do have Beavis and Butthead, the movie and the new series. So it's got to be up there.
They also have The Offer, the limited series about the making of The Godfather, which I was so enthralled with, I burned through it in like 3 days.
Okay. Got to watch that. Adam, the question is still on the table. Best streaming service if you can only have one.
Right. Okay. The best streaming service if you can only have one is access to a bunch of your friends' Plex libraries. If we're talking about something legitimate, I think
it's got to be legit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's Disney Plus for me. I think it's Disney Plus. I think I probably use HBO Max, my mom's HBO Max, the most, but with where that's all going, and really, I mean, what I'm probably looking most forward to, as far as prestige, like kind of primetime-esque shows and movies and stuff. Like, I mean, it's probably Marvel and Star Wars stuff, and Bluey. Bluey's only on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. So for Will, that's important. So yeah, I think Disney Plus is going to be my answer.
Right. Jared, I'll jump in. So the answer to my question depends on one thing: do I have cable? If I have cable, if I don't have cable, then I would say Hulu is the best, just because there's enough crossover for other shows that you can normally find on cable networks that would make my wife happy and make me happy. And there are a few prestige shows on Hulu that I like.
You should watch The Bear.
I want to watch The Bear, and we just saw. They just released the trailer for the new Handmaid's Tale season. Boy, that looks like
The Old Man. Another good show on.
That looks like a laugh fest, doesn't it? All those fun shows.
Yeah.
But if I do have cable, I would probably lean towards HBO Max, in the sense that there are so many good shows on HBO that perpetually excite me and are really fun to watch. Just good television. They've got that pedigree that HBO's had for years and years and years. But I don't know. I mean, I think every streaming service has its pros and cons, right? I mean, in theory, I love Star Wars and Marvel, but I haven't necessarily just fallen over myself for the Star Wars and Marvel stuff that's been on Disney Plus right now. So it doesn't quite.
You watch The Bad Batch?
Yes, I like The Bad Batch. And then, there are shows on Netflix that I absolutely love, but there's also a lot of crap in there that's not really worth my time. So I guess if I have to pick one, I would go towards HBO Max. Jared?
I had not heard this Peacock news. That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to not watch Peacock.
No one is going to subscribe to that. Here's what I'll say about Peacock. Because I know this because it's free. That's the only reason I'll watch it.
That's the exclusive home of The Office, though, isn't it?
Yeah. The Office and Parks and Rec and
I hear good things about Rutherford Falls.
Yeah, maybe. They have a thing in their app. If you swipe to the left, where it's a guide, and they have channels, but it's like the Office channel, right?
Yeah.
And so you pick it, and it's just mid-episode. It's because it started at 9, and it's 9:15, so it's just wherever it was. And sometimes they play them in order, sometimes they play them in random order, and that is really enjoyable to watch sometimes. And I don't understand why everyone.
If you want that linear television feeling where you're just whatever's on is what I'm watching.
Yes, I feel like that is a thing that everyone should do. I know that there's some free service that has that also. Pluto TV does that too. I think they should all do that.
All right.
That's all.
That's it.
Hello.
I'm just taking it all in.
All right.
Okay. So, final question.
Do I get to mention anything?
Sorry,
no?
Adam confused me. Jared, you do it. Sorry.
Honestly, I've got 4 choices, and it really depends on what you're interested in. Pure volume of content. If you want pure volume of content, Netflix is your choice. It is the most expensive. If you want the decades of high quality programming, and depending on how well it survives a merger, HBO Max is your choice. There's just so many. You've got the entire library of HBO programming. You've got a ton of great Max originals that are, many of which are coming back. Not all of them, unfortunately, because there's a bunch of shenanigans. You can read up about it all you want. If you need Star Wars and Marvel in your life, Disney Plus is obviously your choice on that. Jeff Goldblum comes along for the ride on that one. The best value in streaming, I've been talking about this for a year now with people who will listen to me, Apple TV Plus. It's $5 a month, and they've got some great, fantastic shows on there. For All Mankind, it's worth it for that alone. That show is incredible. Those are my choices. Cut, print, moving on.
Severance,
another great show.
Have you watched that show, Adam?
It's too depressing not depressing. That's not the right word. Bleak.
It's exceptional television. It's really good.
Final season of C just dropped its first episode, so I gotta watch that.
So,
Blackbird miniseries, great stuff. Shining Girls miniseries, great stuff. There's a lot of miniseries on there too, so you can get in for 6-8 episodes and then you're done.
The one thing that we have talked about, since the beginning of the streaming wars, was that wouldn't it be nice if there was one place to go for all of your streaming needs? And it's clearly we knew that would never happen. We knew that people would be spending a lot of money to get the streaming services that they want. And for anybody that thought that they could beat the system of not having cable, joke's on you, because you're probably paying as much as anybody else that just has cable to get the shows you want. So
There's probably a 2-year window where you had a better value proposition, but now it's come back around.
Big business wins again. Final question. This is a big one. What do you think about Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4? We have had, at my count, we've got 7 films. We've got a number of television series. And, we've got, in terms of films coming still, Black Panther's the only remaining film in Phase 4. And in terms of TV shows, I'm looking at an untitled Halloween special, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And between those 3 things, Phase 4 wraps up. Jared, what say you? Do you love what Marvel is doing with this, or not quite sure what they're doing? What do you think?
I will admit to some disappointment with Phase 4. I think I've liked parts of all of the films for the most part. There hasn't been one slam dunk film. That's the caveat here, is we have not actually managed to see Thor: Love and Thunder yet. That will hit as this episode is released this week on Disney Plus Day.
I saw
so
it.
I'm sure we'll see it right away.
Did you like it, Adam?
I did not like it as much as Thor Ragnarok. And I wanted to like it a lot. I like everything and everyone involved in that. So, yeah, I didn't like it.
So we'll see.
No.
Every film has been a bit of a disappointment to some extent. Others more than others. Others more
Was
than others.
Spider-Man
Sure.
disappointment to you? No Way Home?
I liked it in the moment, but I haven't been wanting to go back to watch it. For the most part, I liked Multiverse of Madness in the moment. I didn't love it, but I liked it. But I haven't managed to make it through on Disney Plus. I haven't managed to make it through Shang-Chi again. I haven't managed to make it through Eternals. I'm just a little on the movies at the moment. I understand why they're probably cutting Phase 4 shorter, and maybe I don't know if it was always meant to be a little bit shorter, or if they're sort of kind of like trying to reset. But whatever. You got a bunch of TV mixed in there, which has been of mixed quality. WandaVision, I thought for the most part was exceptional. Maybe kind of fell into some superhero or Marvel movie tropes at the end, but whatever, it was pretty good. I thought for the most part the first season of Loki was really good, and then they sort of dropped that surprise like, we're just setting up a season 2, and you're like, okay, now it feels like you didn't really deliver on the first season as much now in retrospect, but I still overall liked it. I think the rest of the shows were a little like Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think had some great themes to it, but didn't always deliver compelling episodes. Moon Knight was just like not for me. It was fine, but the character's not one that I cared about, and whatever. Hawkeye was sort of like, maybe this will be fun. Kate Bishop was mostly fun, and I like that they brought Kingpin back, but overall it was like, whatever. It's like, it seems inconsequential. It doesn't seem important. Although Tony Dalton, you gotta love Tony Dalton. If you're a fan of Better Call Saul, you know you're a fan of Tony Dalton. What else? Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel I thought was great. I loved it. I loved all the family stuff. I thought the themes were great. I think there was an interesting way of sort of recontextualizing that character in the MCU versus how the comic book character is. And I thought that they did a great job portraying the culture. They made a good job of having representation both in the cast and in the crew across that. I love that. And I'm so far enjoying She-Hulk quite a bit, even though the CGI is still very uncanny valley. But for TV, I'll allow it. It's fine. So, I'm not hating it. I'm not like done with Marvel, but it definitely has been a step back. And it's not as much of an appointment television event as it probably should be.
Do you concur with that, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the pretty I don't know, well accepted view right at this point. Like,
and they have to feel that, right?
Yeah. Like, was there another phase where we had a Black Widow and Eternals? Like, to me, those were just I really disliked Eternals. I don't know why. That one just to me felt incredibly disconnected and different. Felt like a DC movie for some reason to me.
Yeah.
Black Widow just felt like it had no stakes because it, being a prequel, not a prequel, but where it is in the timeline.
It very much felt like, yeah, it's about time we did this.
Yeah,
right.
It should have
But
happened
the problem
sooner.
is, but you killed the main character, so it's like all
Yeah,
you're
I was
doing
like-
is setting up the next. It's a legacy film that you're setting up the next Black Widow. Luckily, we like the next Black Widow, but still, we just don't want to see a movie about how she's going to be dead.
Yeah.
Because we know it. It's another prequel. There you go.
I do feel like the action in Shang-Chi was really good. That was, I think,
100%.
the guy that actually was, I think, the Matrix stunt coordinator. Which, if you watch the, Matrix 4, he was not involved in that, and that's probably to the detriment of the action in that movie. I know that movie wasn't about action, but so it's like the beginning was kind of weird with those three. Spider-Man, I've liked this Spider-Man run probably more than any other character in the MCU, and something just felt off about this one. I feel like it's like you had this global, universal big bad, and then trying to reestablish stakes after that is just weird.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I haven't seen Doctor Strange yet. Mandy looked at the cover of it and she said that looks scary. So I just haven't gotten around to watching it by myself. And then
they did intentionally wanted to have a horror film.
Yeah,
So-
that's on point.
Yeah. And then the TV shows, it's my opinions are the same as everyone else's. WandaVision good, Falcon Winter Soldier not good. Though it did give me the ability to see who plays the guy that's Captain America temporarily, Goldie Hawn's son.
Yeah, Wyatt.
Yeah,
Wyatt, whatever.
Yes,
I
yes.
can't think of- I know Wyatt. Yeah, what I'm
Russell.
saying.
Russell.
Wyatt Russell. There we go.
Yeah, I've seen him in like two other things. He is so hateable. Like he plays that really well.
Mhm.
Didn't like that. Loki good. Hawkeye. I am a big fan of what's her face that plays Kate Bishop. And if that's just to establish her as Hawkeye in the MCU, fine. It was like a Christmas show, right?
Yeah,
So
it was
fine.
It was light.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I liked Moon Knight, but I don't understand why it was made. And then yes, Miss Marvel. I wish Miss Marvel was less superhero-y, but I understand it's a Marvel show; it should be superhero-y. I like that show a lot. I'm liking She-Hulk
the
a lot.
non-superhero family stuff was much her.
Yes,
So
the her being a teenager stuff was good. There's that Mindy Kaling show on Netflix that she produces or writes for. I don't remember. That kind of reminded me of that. And I like what that show does. So
Ms. Marvel and Stranger Things kind of followed a similar arc in their current seasons, in that you have the first few episodes are very much like teenager, high school. We're having fun with this. This is great. And then they get into the bulk of the story and it takes them out of that environment. And you're kind of like, oh, but that was fun.
Yeah,
well.
that was fun.
So I don't know. I agree that it doesn't feel like appointment viewing, TV or movie wise.
And yet I will still watch them on the day they drop. The TV shows, that is.
I think Phase 4 suffers from two things. One, there's a lot of content. And, that in itself takes away from this idea of appointment TV or appointment movies. Also, you mix in COVID and you deal that into the equation, you got some problems. But the other thing is that Phase 4 doesn't really feel like there's a unifying goal or a unifying thing that everything is sort of working towards. Maybe there is, but it's certainly not clear compared to previous phases. Everything was, we've got Phase 1 where we're establishing characters. Phase 2 and Phase 3 is, getting the Infinity Stones and sort of explaining what that stuff is. And that was sort of the theme. And then the end of that Phase 3 was, the giant climactic battle. With Phase 4, like Adam said, you don't have a big bad, so you're trying to reset and figure out what that is. But in the meantime, like looking at all these movies and stuff, you've got Shang-Chi, which is kind of like this mysticism that doesn't really connect to things. You've got Eternals, which is big godlike creatures that we don't even have any idea how that fits into the equation. You've got No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness, which is the multiverse stuff, which is another big theme. WandaVision deals heavily with the mysticism and the witches and the magic. Loki is more of that multiverse stuff, and Moon Knight. I don't really know what Moon Knight has. It's like Egyptian gods. How does that fit into this? And then you've got more of like the Miss Marvel She-Hulk, which is lighter fare, more character driven that we can tell. I don't really understand how it fits together, and it sort of confuses me. In a way, it's kind of like going to the comic shop on any given week, and you've got your pull list of 10 different Marvel comics, and a couple of them connect, but a lot of them don't. And maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that Disney needs content, right? They've got to be churning out these shows, and not everything can be connected because it would just be impossible to make that work. So they're not going to do that, at least in this phase. So I don't know. I found it a bit confusing. I found it a bit disjointed. I think there's been some winners in some of the stuff, just everything that you guys have said. But I think there's been some dogs and stuff that just hasn't interested me as much. And I'm kind of waiting for them to bring it together a little bit, which I'm assuming will be kind of through the multiverse, Loki, that sort of whatever that turns into, like the Secret Wars battle or whatever. And taking all these multiverses and eventually merging them into one would be my guess. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. That's how they're getting Captain America. That's how they're going to get Iron Man and all these characters back eventually, is that there'll be different versions of them from different universes and blah, blah, blah. But until then, who knows? Thank you.
Well, you think Chris Evans?
Of it is, what?
Oh, sorry. I was wondering if Shane thinks that Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. are coming back in their roles because of the multiverse?
No,
okay,
they'll never come back. I think I've said it before. Jared doesn't think it'll happen, but I think that they will recast those roles with other actors, because you're not going to be in a situation where they paint themselves into a corner where they won't have like an original Iron Man or original.
When I made that statement, that was pre-multiverse. I didn't believe that they would recast Captain America as like the Chris Evans Captain America being the same character, but someone else is playing the role. I don't think they would do that, even though they did do that with Bruce Banner. But the multiverse changes all that, because we've already seen that they'll do different versions of a character in the multiverse played by a completely different person. So that obviously opens up that whole thing. So whatever. I think part of this is audience expectations too. We've expected everything to be connected, and maybe they've been a little ham-handed in how they've handled that, and either sort of trying to connect things, but not maybe doing a great job of doing about it, or not connecting things and not being explicit that this is its own thing.
Right.
So we'll see. There's a lot more content coming. I have confidence they'll right the ship. I'm sure they've gotten all the feedback they care to hear about how they've done it wrong, and they'll continue to adjust as they go forward.
Right. Yeah. And there's still a number of great movies in the pipeline, a lot of interesting stuff coming. Fantastic Four, X-Men are all in the mix now. And I think the really interesting thing is going to be how this Black Panther sequel plays out. I think it's a real challenging problem, and I kind of like the trailer, so we'll see what it ends up being.
Trailer looks really interesting. Who knows what the film will be, though?
Exactly. We don't know. So there we go. We did it. Nerd Roundtable, 3 topics. We did it in very rapid fire way, as we always do. We cut right to the chase. So let's wrap it up. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with Adamant coming soon, right after this.
Under the scope.
Yes, indeed, it's Under the Scope, and it's Adam's turn to shine with coming soon. Oh, yeah. Adam?
Yeah.
Jerome is on my lap, and he is ready for some fun coming soon action. Aren't you, little man?
He's ready to consume some media. Let him know what's coming.
Small kitty.
Look at how proper he is, Adam. He's a proper gentleman. He's like tuxedo all the time. He's ready to go out in the town.
That's great.
Hi, Adam. Okay, hit it, Adam.
I'm realizing, we should start doing TV as part of this.
We absolutely should.
All right. Anyway, I have movies and music and video games. Maybe next week I'll be smart enough. So anyway, we've got this is for the week of.
I totally forgot to say I bought a PS5. I joined the current generation.
See it? It's on right. It's right there. It's on right now.
That was on my list of things I did. Continue, Adam.
All right. So yeah, the week of September 4th.
I'll
4th,
play
yes.
Star Wars Battlefield 2.
We've got coming up Happily Ever After. I don't know what movie that is, but that's coming out. We've got Pinocchio. That's the big release.
Is that only? Oh, Pinocchio's okay. Yeah. That's coming to Disney Plus though.
Yeah, Disney Plus.
Disney Plus Day.
Robert Zemeckis, the man famous not for going Back to the Future anymore. He's more famous for awkward animation styles.
We love it.
He has
also
bought himself a cabin in the Uncanny Valley, and he's living there.
You got it. We've got Barbarian. This is one of the many Skarsgård movies. This one, Bill Skarsgård. We've got
Is this
End
a
of the
prequel
Road.
to The Northman?
Yes.
No, it's
No. This right. That's a different Skarsgård. Alexander.
Sure.
End of the Road, a Netflix movie with Queen Latifah, Ludacris, and Beau Bridges.
I'm sure it'll underperform.
Dark Harvest. I don't know. I recognize any of these people. And Flight Risk, an Amazon movie.
Mm.
There you go. But it's stylized as flight/risk, so that probably means something.
So anything could happen.
Anything can happen. Music.
It's like face/off.
Yeah, exactly. We've got. I'm just gonna read some bands that I know of. Afghan Wigs.
Yeah, heard of them.
Built to Spill. Flogging Molly.
Yep.
John Legend.
These are all registering with 40 plus. Yep.
KMFDM.
Yep.
KT Tunstall.
All on brand.
Ozzy Osbourne. Hey, what's Ozzy's first name? Like, what's it? Is it Osbourne? Like, what's his actual first name? Do you guys know?
I don't know. I always thought it was Ozzy.
Oswald.
Oswald Osbourne.
I don't know. It's gotta be
Robbie
right?
Williams. Santa Gold.
His name is John Michael Osborne.
So you're saying the Ozzy is not this band.
There you go. There you go. Did I say Robbie Williams? Whatever. Those guys. Video games.
Some stuff's coming, right, Adam?
Let's see. This week?
Maybe not this week.
This week we've got NBA 2K23, Splatoon 3. Some people might be excited for that. We've got, I don't know.
Oh,
You've got it in front of you.
NBA
I'm
Splatoon those are the big releases.
Yeah. The Tomorrow
Back when
Children.
my daughter was
Edition?
fun and loved video games, she would play Splatoon. Now she's
too cool
nothing
for
to
it.
do with me.
Man, is that going to happen
cool.
someday?
Shane, do you still want to get Madden after the terrible reviews?
No, I've changed my mind.
I introduced Will to Minecraft. I had never played Minecraft before. I set up a Minecraft server on my home server and I started digging, and he was like, "Can I do that?" And he just kept digging straight down, and our person couldn't dig back up because he dug too deep, and I don't know what to do at this point. But
so you got to learn how to jump and place blocks. So you get up, or you just dig yourself a staircase to go back up.
Yeah.
You can dig in more directions than just down. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. That's he took the mouse and he dug down. So that's all I know how to.
He lives there now. He's there in the Uncanny Valley with Robert Zemeckis.
There you go. That's it. Maybe someone can say what TV shows are coming out, but probably not.
It does. That's not how it works anymore, sir. It's not how it works. Thank you, Adam, for your work. Jared, let's commence to the end.
Finally.
Under the scope.
Yes, indeed, Jared. I know you've got 4 hours of listener comments, so get right to it. Yeah. I think one of them is probably talking about the last season of Knight Rider, since I think that was when our last show was.
So speaking of Knight Rider, there is one of these. I'm into these retro computer YouTube channels for some reason. And one of the guys, he does I think it's called Retro Recipes is the name of the channel. He's been doing this series of videos about converting his Tesla into a kit car. Because, Teslas have auto driving. So he's like, okay. So he rigs up the lighting. He's got a little kit app that he can talk to and it will respond to him. He's got doing a whole bunch of things to make his car into kit. Because of those, he got invited to a car museum in LA. There's another YouTube channel called like Knight Rider History or something like that. It's all about the history of Knight Rider. But this car museum has a screen-used kit car. And he did a whole video touring this car and going over all the details. And it was pretty cool. If you're into Knight Rider at all, I recommend it. Anyway, that has nothing to do with comments on the last episode because
way to keep the show moving, Jared. Way to keep the show moving.
You said Knight Rider, and I gave you some wonderful content about Knight Rider. Did you ever watch Knight Rider, Shane?
No. That
wasn't your thing?
No, I didn't. I only like sitcoms. I did not like Knight Rider, A-Team, Chips, forget it.
Oh, see, that was everything. I hated sitcoms. I liked Knight Rider, A-Team, and Chips. So somehow we found common ground later in life, but as children, we probably would have hated each other. Okay,
this
let's get to our one. Let's get to our one comment for the run here, and it is a voicemail we got on the voicemail line. Here you go.
Wow.
Did you catch that?
I did.
Play it again for you. Okay, interesting comment. I'm not really sure what you're going for, sir or madam or non-binary creature. Not to say that
it's what you don't hear. What you don't hear. That's the key.
Yeah. Well, maybe one more time. Maybe we can parse it out.
Okay. Well, listen carefully.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Honestly, we haven't been giving it our all, and we haven't been as regular as we should be, but we're doing our best. We have busy lives that... Yeah, okay, yeah, well, look, if you're going to cancel your patronage, I can understand, but...
Don't.
It is what it is,
I don't understand.
And we'll try to do better. That's all I can say. Yeah. All right, well, your apologies accepted. We'll move on from there. So if you've got any comments you'd like to say, you can call our voicemail line at 612-21-SCOPE. That is 612-217-2673. Even if you just have some electronic beeps you need to send our way, or maybe you've got, like, I don't know, a pan flute or one of those, like, little mouth harps that you would get. I don't know if you ever got one of those at the Fort Snelling tour when you were a young kid, but that's something they would definitely sell there with the rock candy. You get a little mouth harp. You got one of those you want to play on the phone for us, call that voicemail line. Or you can email us at comments@thescopeshow.com. You can hit us up on social media. We are on Facebook and on Twitter. Those links are on our website at thescopeshow.com, which hopefully I won't break when I go and upgrade the WordPress and the plugins in the coming weeks, because I keep getting emails about how they're outdated. Please don't hack us. If you'd like to watch us, we have a YouTube channel. It is The Scope Show on YouTube. You can find that link also on our website. If you'd like to support the show, as I said earlier, you can join literally the handful of prime meat suspects who are giving us pocket change whenever we publish an episode. Patreon.com/The Scope Show for more information on that. That's all I got for you. Shane, taking up too much time.
Fantastic. Well, Jared and Adam, it's been a nice, tight show. You know, our typical non-verbose type of situation. We did it again. Let's just ponder that for a second, shall we?
Kept it tight.
Let's ponder it. Oh, it's hilarious. Well, how about this?
Yeah.
Let's wrap this thing up, shall we? So, Jared, Adam, thanks for showing up. To the fans, thanks for listening. For Jerome, thanks for listening. So until next time, bye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying, hey though, tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.